Hello Twitchies, SPL Vlog 2 here. We had some games on Thursday night that we're going to talk about. Two specific games. The first game being the European game of the day, which was Dig versus Upcoming Stars. The second game, which was Melior Morior, our team versus Cognitive Gaming. So first things first, we're going to talk a little about the Dig Upcoming Stars game. Dig was the favorite coming in. They were 1-0, having beaten Trig, who was probably favored to be the number one team, honestly, in Europe. Maybe competing with definitely number one out of qualifiers, but probably towards the top, definitely top two between Fnatic and Titan. Probably favored to beat Titan actually, maybe not Fnatic. Honestly, I know Titan got higher than them, but that's a whole thing, and I still think Fnatic's a better team, but whatever. Not the point. The point being, they were coming in 1-0, Dignitas that is, Upcoming Stars coming in 0-1. The games kind of went not completely as expected. I think a lot of people expected Dig to just roll away with it and kind of stomp them. Upcoming Stars played very strongly for like the first 15 minutes of the game. They had pretty strong early games. They had some okay shot calling. They didn't have the team fight synergy. Maybe that some more veteran players and veteran teams have, which is kind of the same problem that I think Cognitive Gaming has right now as well. They played strongly. They did well in the starts. They fell apart towards the end when it came to that team synergy. What do we need to do? Getting pickoffs into a team fight, stuff like that. It's kind of when they fell apart. The first game, the MVP was clearly Youngbei. Played Shibalanke that game. Very strong. His damage output was insane. Wasn't even close. Like, he was just blowing people up, man. His numbers were all over the place. He finished the game super high KDA. If you have Youngbei on your fantasy league, you're very happy with how he performed. The play of the game for the first game was definitely the Gold Fury steal by Dignitas. Upcoming Stars had a good fight against Dig, took them all out, went for the Gold Fury. Frezu came in on Athena. The enemy didn't have their tier 3 high ground, came in for an easy steal. But it was a big momentum shift. If the Upcoming Stars would have gotten that, they would have had a nice, solid lead. Basically, that put Dig back in the lead, and then Dig walked away with that one. The second game, basically, came down to Frostyak playing extremely well. Everything he did was on point. His skills were on point. His positioning was on point. Everything was on point. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. He was on point that game. And then the best play that game, honestly, was Youngbei. At the last FG fight, went off on his damage and got like a triple kill or a quadra kill or something. And he did like 4,000 or 5,000 damage in like 6 seconds. He was just getting crits like crazy and just destroyed the whole entire enemy team. At that point, the game was over. That was pretty much the final fight and the deciding factor in that game. As far as our game versus Cognitive Gaming, kind of like Upcoming Stars in terms of their team fights late game. I feel like they have a very strong early game. They know what to do. They were not down in gold for the first like 15 minutes of either game, but they were down in experience, which came back to haunt them, and their team fights weren't as strong as they needed them to be. They have a little bit of miscommunication. I feel like their initiations weren't as strong as they could be. The first game MVP, in my opinion, was Cyclone Spin. They gave it to Weekend, and Weekend did very well. But Cyclone Spin was like 12-2 on Bastet. Did a ton of damage, a lot of rotations, a lot of skills. Everything that he did was really smart, really good, really well played in that game, honestly. The top play of that game, if you didn't get to watch, during the final push, I got an Athena taunt onto like 3 or 4 people into a combined Thanatos ult at the Phoenix, which hit like all 3 or 4 people, and then it was just blown up from there, and that was the end of the game. It was a really strong play. As far as the second game goes, it turned out about the same way, about even for the first 15 minutes, except for XP. We were ahead in XP, and then we kind of went away with it as it started to get into this team fight segment. MVP of the second game, in my opinion, was Allied. Allied was playing Freya. He went off the entire game. He did a ton of damage. He had one particular instance I can think of where he was out of position, but other than that, did a ton of damage. Did a really good job at baiting him out, beat people out. Freya's fantastic at baiting out with their ultimate. You get people to use skills on you, then you ult out, and you're totally fine. Best part of that game, or the top play of that game, if you will, was we had a DSI and the Fire Giant that led us into a free Fire Giant, and that Fire Giant snowballed the rest of the game. Thanks guys for tuning into the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to be doing these SPL vlogs throughout this entire season. Short season, but I want to keep these up throughout the entire year. Kind of keep people informed on how the SPL games are going. If they don't have a chance to watch them, just kind of go over the highlights and who I think the top players were. But I thank you guys for coming out here and doing this. And as always, have a twitching day, y'all.